So in our workshop, what we'll be focusing on today, thank you, Molly, for helping us out. We'll be doing a slight introduction. We'll be focusing on our approach to listening and how we're going to be changing listening classrooms. Now, I've been in Korea. I've taught English in Korea with elementary, middle school, and high school. And listening classes, to be honest, are not that fun. It's right above grammar, okay? Because listening is just MP3 player, play. The students either have dictation or some kind of worksheet. We say, okay, everyone, stop and repeat. You repeat and you give them homework. They ask you, teacher, what does this word mean? And then you're finished. So it's not that interactive. And many times we don't have a lot of opportunity to mix in the other three skills of speaking, writing, and reading. So we want to make sure, can we focus on our approach and see how we can do it differently? We are then going to take this approach and we're going to apply it with our textbook of Oxford Skills University's Listening with Speaking, and also provide you different types of methods that you can use in your own classroom. And of course, my favorite part, making sure and providing all of our teachers with the right tools and resources in the classroom. So as we are actually doing our workshop today, of course, we're going to talk about skill building, but we're also going to have some activities. Korean teachers love to have activities, and I can see so many smiling faces and happy people wanting to do activities and lesson planning together. So I do have one house rule, and this is what we call an intention chant. It's very, very simple to do. A lot of teachers have activities in their classroom, but have a hard time getting the focus back from the students over again. So I'm going to give you two attention chants that we can use today. The very first one's very simple. I am going to say, hocus pocus. And my students, you all, are going to say, everybody focus. It's very simple, and let's all try together. Are you guys ready? Oh, are you guys ready? Yes. Excellent. Okay, ready. Hocus pocus. Okay, one more time, please. Hocus pocus. So this is a very fun activity I use with my elementary and middle school students. It gets their attention very, very quickly, and I don't have to keep on saying, hello, everyone, listen, listen, attention. It's very simple. I just say hocus pocus. Now, the next one is, because I am American, does anyone know what this is? Perfect. I'm going to say macaroni and cheese, and all of my students will say, everybody freeze. So let's try this together. Macaroni and cheese. Now, this is actually works very well with a lot of the motion activities we have in class, and a lot of the younger students like it more, because if they're acting out or doing a dialogue, they're going to freeze in their positions, and then they'll put the focus back onto the teacher. So today, I'll be using both of these attention chants throughout our workshop. Would that be okay? Okay, great. So let's go ahead and jump right into our first section. And we are going to take a look at focusing on our approach to listening. Now, in our survey earlier, I asked everyone what is considered to be a good listener. And people put good vocabulary, pronunciation, attention, interest. Now, I'm going to ask another question for all of our teachers today. It says, in your opinion, what makes listening a difficult skill to learn for second language learners? Now, many of us have taught listening before. And to be honest, there is no perfect class, there is no perfect book, there is no perfect student. So, what are some problems you have faced in your own classrooms? No problems at all? Your classes are perfect? Gee, my class is perfect, I don't need to be here? Of course not. So what's one example of a difficulty in a listening class? Perfect. Pronunciation. Now, pronunciation of the listening passage or the student? The listening passage. Now, hopefully, many of you can tell that my accent is from what country? America. I have definitely 100% Californian American accent. But I work at OUP, and all of my teammates are from the UK. They have a very strong British accent. My team manager, he's from northern UK, and I don't understand sometimes what he's saying. And I am a native English speaker. So pronunciation is one part that listening passages can provide difficulty for. What else is another difficulty in your class? Vocabulary, very good. Now, is vocabulary a listening passage problem or a student learning problem? Both. Now, the word can be too hard, or they can't understand what it means, or they don't know the word at all. Or they do know the word, but they don't know how it's connected to that passage itself. So, what happened was there has been a lot of research provided dealing with second language learners, especially with listening skills. Now, this passage or this research marked down the top 6 problems they've noticed with Korean, Chinese, and Japanese second language learners. So it's all of Northeast Asia students. And let's see if any of these are connected with your students in your class. Lack of control of speaker speed. Don't understand words. Failure to recognize signals. Unable to get things repeated, intonation and pronunciation, and cannot chunk phrases of speech. So in these 2 categories, the research provided 2 different areas of where these problems are actually lying in. Can't control speaker speed. This is going to be the listening passage. During a TOEFL test or during a TOEIC test, can you ask the proctor, slow it down for me? No, you cannot do that. So this is part of the listening passage issue. Don't understand words or failure to recognize signals. This kind of relies and lies upon more of the student or learner issues. Unable to get things repeated. This is also the listening passage. And we just talked about pronunciation. We cannot ask the speaker to change pronunciations for us. We can't ask them to slow down. Even now, my speech, I think in my head, is pretty slow compared to my normal speed. When I'm with my friends, it's very, very quick. But since we are all here today, I am focusing on slower, correct pronunciation and correct enunciation that is coming from my mouth too. But in a listening passage, students cannot ask this from the text itself. Now, this is actually the last part I found very, very interesting and also very important. Can everyone please repeat after me? Chunk. One more time, please, with smiles. Chunk. Who knows, what does chunk mean? I want a chunk of bread, or I want a chunk of cheese. What does a chunk mean? Parts of words, groups of words. Is this only one vocabulary word? No, we put them in small phrases. Now, why this is so important is, unlike reading classes, the reading passage is all in front of the reader. They can look at each individual word at a time, find out its definition. Is it a preposition? Is it a noun? But with listening, we don't have anything to look at. So we have to understand phrases in chunks, like go get coffee and go get a haircut. Get and that phrase itself means 2 different words itself. So this chunking actually is a big issue with a lot of the listeners in second language student learners. So we're going to focus on all these, and the research takes all of these 6 main points, and they've also come up with typical learner reactions. Because of these 6 issues, these are some very common reactions from our listeners. And let's see if it connects with our listeners in Korea. Quickly forget what is heard. This happens a lot in our classes. 100%, they'll listen to it and like, ugh. Or they're unable to form the mental representation of the word they hear. I'm not going to lie, Korean students are very good in vocabulary, very good in reading. A lot of it is visual on their own. But sometimes when they hear it, they can't picture the word that they're actually listening to. And because of this, they have a hard time understanding the passage. And what happens is, since they can't understand the word, they get stuck on that one phrase. Or maybe they understand the word. Okay, I understand what hot means, but I don't understand how it's being used in that passage. So what happens is, in the very first 3 sentences, they're all ready and they're really concentrating, and they get stuck on one word and they can't think of the meaning. So what happens is, the next 3 sentences they don't even listen to. Or they're not able to keep up because they keep hearing new words over and over again, and it keeps bumping into like a speed bump. It's not smooth for them, and they miss out on a lot of information in the future. So what happens is they either concentrate way too hard, or they just kind of give up. And a lot of students do this. You can tell in the classrooms, okay, I'm going to listen. They start listening, and they're like, oh, and they kind of put their pencil down because they know teacher is going to play it one more time for them. So they'll take the notes as much as possible, but you can see that poggy look in their eyes, and they're just like, okay. And they kind of sit back and rest, and the passage keeps continuing on and on and on, and then they're just like, okay, I'll do it again next time when she plays it again. But a lot of times in a conversation, you can't ask the speaker to repeat themselves over and over again. So we want to make sure that we're trying to get away from these reactions. Okay, June, so what should learners' reactions be? And the research concluded that proficient listeners resorted to hypothesis testing. This means asking about specific information in the story. They also did forward inference. This means inquiring by using the information already given in the story, and then continuation of learning signals and back channels. I'm going to explain this to you a little bit later, but they increased in hypothesis testing and forward inference, and they reduced lexical pushdowns. This means asking about what the word means, and they reduce global reprises, meaning asking for general repetition, summary, or simplification. So this is all the report kind of big words and terms. All you have to know is that proficient listeners, they will increase hypothesis testing questions. Teacher, does that mean this? This is a comprehension question. Forward inference is going to be taking that information and thinking about other things. And then they're going to reduce asking what the word means. Teacher, what does that word mean? Or, I don't understand paragraph 3. Can you make it easier for us? Or can you summarize it for us? Now, this may sound very, very confusing, but I'm going to do a quick practice with you right now. And I am going to have everyone listen to Jack and Jill. Please raise your hand if you do not know Jack and Jill. I think everyone knows it, and I'm going to have you listen to it, and we're going to do examples of the 4 types of questioning we should be doing in our classroom.
Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
Very, very simple, very, very short, and just in case we don't know this nursery rhyme, I went ahead and put it on our screen. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the 4 types of questions we want to be focusing on. Hypothesis testing. Everyone, please repeat after me. Hypothesis testing. Now, this is going to be comprehension questions. Okay, where did Jack and Jill go? Everyone, where did they go? Yeah, they went up a hill. Very, very easy. Okay, another type of hypothesis testing is, what did Jack and Jill carry? A pail. Very, very simple. So these are types of questions proficient listeners should be asking themselves. Comprehension questions. Now let's go to forward inference. Everyone, please repeat after me. Forward inference. Now, they're going to take this information here, and and make some types of future inferences. Okay, we know that Jack and Jill need water, but why do they need to get the water? Do they have a pet? Are they trying to grow some plants? Are they thirsty? Another type of question is, okay, I know Jack fell down and broke his crown, but what caused Jill to tumble? Why did Jill fall down after Jack? So these are types of questions we should be supporting in our classroom. Now, struggling listeners, these are going to be the Lexile pushdown questions are similar to, teacher, what does tumbling mean? I don't know what tumbling means. Or, teacher, I know what fetch means, but I thought only animals fetch. Okay, no, Bobby, fetch means to go get something, to retrieve. People can do this too. And the global reprise questions are, can you please repeat that last part, or what does the last part mean? Now, what happens is, what I've noticed is a lot of Korean teachers spend a lot of time on this bottom section and a lot of time doing this after the listening portion. These are the worksheets, fill in the blank activities. These are going to be what we try to do before, and a lot of times teachers do a lot of Korean to English 해석. And this is where the struggling listeners have to try to break that section and try to go up to the two top ones in the classroom instead. So how can we change that, and what can we do? We want to make sure that we produce successful listeners, and we want to make sure we provide explicit skills instructions. Simple step-by-step building instructions that build skills. Skills such as listening comprehension. Also, listening skills can also be in the application form. Many students and teachers don't realize this. They think, oh, listening is only input. There's no output to it. But listening does have an output application, and that is speaking. If they fully understand and comprehend what is being heard in class, they should be able to respond back to it. And we're going to focus on both sets of skills today. Now, you notice that I keep on saying skills. It's because we are Oxford Skills World, not Oxford help me learn one passage at a time world. We're not trying to help them learn one section at a time. We're trying to give them skills they can use over and over and over again in any setting, in any book, at any age, at any level. So how can we do this? We're going to jump into our application approach with application. And before we do, we want to make sure we focus on the 4 skills that proficient listeners should be working on. Hypothesis testing and forward inference, and they're going to want to reduce lexical pushdowns and reduce global reprises. Now, please do not misunderstand me. I am not saying these are bad. We have to explain the words, and we have to give summaries to our second language learners. What I'm trying to say is we want to reduce this and increase more of the top 2 questions in this list of 4. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, great. So in our workshop today, we're going to see how we can support these bottom 2 while increasing the top 2 also. So before we do start, I want to ask a very simple question to everyone. When we look at reading and writing, which one is input and which one is output? Very good. Reading is input. That means writing is output. And we just mentioned this earlier. How about listening and speaking? Which one is input? Listening. Which one is output? Okay, good. Now, I want us to focus on which style of learning listening is. And we have 3 different styles. This is called the VAC method. Visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Now, this is a very, very popular system that many teachers and educators are using already. Now, we know what visual means. We can see it. Auditory means we are hearing it or listening to it. What does kinesthetic mean? Movement. Okay? This is going to be like TPR or physical projects that you actually build together, crafts. Now, I think it's very, very interesting that with our VAC learning styles, We know that listening is more auditory, okay? But of the three, listening has the least amount of warm-up in the skill-wise. If you really think about it, visually we have flashcards, story cards, worksheets, textbooks, and print. We can actually see everything. Videos also. With kinesthetics, when we're actually doing warm-ups and practicing, they give us the motion, head, shoulders, knees, toes. We stretch our muscles a little bit. But for auditory, we don't have a lot of 100% listening activities. In our books, it's what? Look at the words and repeat. Cow, cow. So you see the sound, and then you hear it, and then you repeat it. We want to focus on just warming up our auditory and listening skills. Oh, and here is Ollie finally. Ollie decides to join us. He wants to say hello to everyone. And I'm going to ask Ollie a question. Ollie, do you think our attendance members today should warm up their auditory muscles? Yeah, let's do a warm-up. Thank you, Ollie. You're such a great partner today. But let's go to this worksheet first. Does everyone have this black and white one? This is going to be our listening warm-up activity. Now, I am going to give you 4 different sounds. There is going to be no dialogue. There's no script. It's just sound practice. And what I would like for you to do is, when you hear the sound, try to write down what do you think is happening in this situation. Maybe they are driving a car. So please write down driving a car. Now, underneath it, you can see 3 different lines. Can you please write down 3 buzzwords? Buzzwords are going to be different sounds you hear or different words connecting to this main idea. So if you put driving a car, you'll say, oh, driving a car, I hear engine. Okay, engine. Oh, my mom drives a car. Okay, or I drive the car to get groceries. So any kind of 3 buzzwords connecting to this main word, please write down at the very bottom of the box. Would that be okay? Okay, great. So I'm going to turn on our listening sections for us. Hopefully, they will not be too difficult for you to hear and understand what they are, but please take the time to write them down. Great. So please write down what you thought that sound was, and then write down 3 buzzwords underneath it. Different sounds you've heard, or different words connecting to this sound itself. I'll give you a few more moments. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the second sound. The second sound is a little bit longer. Please listen to the very end of it. It'll give you a bigger hint. So please write down where you think the sound is coming from, and then 3 buzzwords, 3 connecting words to the sound itself. chica, chica. Good, it looks like we're finishing up our writing. Good, good. Now let's go ahead and go to our third sound. Many confused faces. And finally, let's come to our very last and fourth sound. Great. Now at this time, what I would like for you to do is turn to your neighbor or people around you and just discuss what ideas you thought that each sound represented and share some of your buzzwords. Now, what I would do in my class is I would have all of my students take out the different color pen and then write down what their partners actually wrote down. The boys usually just use the same pencil. The girls take out all the colorful pens. So depending on what kind of classroom you have, my middle school students have also done this activity too. So all ages you can use. And just right now, for a few moments, I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes. Just go ahead and share some of the ideas. You don't have to do all 4. Maybe pick 2 of them. Share what the event that you thought it was, and then share your buzzwords to each other. Okay, I'll give you about 2 minutes to work on this. So please go ahead and discuss openly and freely. Go. Okay, hocus pocus. Okay, one more time. Hocus pocus. Good. Now, once again, I would usually give our students much more time to actually discuss, but for saving our workshop time together, I do want to go on to see how we did as a result. Now, for our very, very first answer, who thinks they know what the situation was? Any ideas? Yes. Very good. Big round of applause for our teacher, please. And it is brushing our teeth. I think someone in Busan said toilet. Okay, it's not toilet. Okay, so once again, it is brushing our teeth. And what were some buzzwords that you can use with brushing your teeth? Yes. Toothpaste. What else is a buzzword? Toothbrush? Water. Very good. What else? Yes. You can just yell them out. The rubbing sound, the brushing sound. Very good. Sink. When do we brush our teeth? Every day, right? Okay, good. So once again, in the morning, after meals, you can do it in the afternoon, nighttime. So once again, usually for our students, this will be the morning kind of buzzword with it too, before I get dressed, in the bathroom. So these are all different buzzwords that we can put together. Who thinks they know the second one? Oh, yes. The New York subway. Wow, very specific. Wow, okay, very good. Wow, okay, very good. Big round of applause for our teacher, please. Yes, it is the New York subway station. Wow. Yes, yes, very, very good. So she heard the subway station. She may have heard LaGuardia Airport, and that is a New York airport there. And what were some buzzwords for New York subway station? Announcement, what else? Train, passenger, transportation. What else? Chatting, underground. These are all different buzzwords we can use for the subway. Now, number 3 may be a little bit difficult for non-American students because number 3 is actually a school hallway. Now, you could hear the bell sound and you can hear the tung, tung. That's actually our lockers closing. So in America, we have our books in a locker. In between classes, we have 5 minutes. They give us a 2-minute bell. Don't be late. Put all your stuff, and you can hear the students walking across the hallway, talking to each other, closing their lockers. Now, how about our last one, my least favorite activity? Oh, yeah, yes. Very good, washing the dishes. And let's give a big round of applause for our teacher, please. Very good. You're welcome. And what are some buzzwords for washing the dishes? Good times? No, okay, maybe. Okay, no problem. What else? Annoying. Okay, very good. What else? Dishes, water. Someone, and I think Daegu put my son, my husband, because they do the washing and I just cook. I'm like, great family life. Okay, good. So once again, there are a lot of different types of buzzwords you can use in these activities. Now, let's take a look at why we actually did this. Now, when we're looking at this activity, what I like to do is I don't give random sounds. I always want to make sure I match the theme of the sounds with the lesson I'm going to be teaching. Now, if you take a look at brushing our teeth, subway, New York subway, and school, and also washing dishes, one theme could be daily routine or activities. Or sequencing. You could think morning, afternoon, evening. You could also think about locations around us or time. So these are all different types of links you can actually do with this activity itself. June, is it hard to find these sounds? No. YouTube is amazing. Just put YouTube sounds and you can download all the sounds you want to do. Very, very simple to use. Whoops. Now, the reason why we're actually doing this is because not only are we only focusing on just sound practice, but we're making sure that our students are using vocabulary words they already know, mixing in different situations. So not only are we activating listening skills, we're activating critical thinking skills too. They're prepared, okay, not just one vocabulary means one location. I can use this in different locations, different situations around me at any time. So as you can see, our themes of daily routine, activities, sequencing, location around us, and time are going to match the unit I've chosen for us to look at. We are going to be looking at Oxford Skills World Listening with Speaking Level 2, and I'm going to be focusing on topic 5. Oh, what is our topic? One day around the world. So I did this intentionally to warm up our brains. We're going to be thinking about things around the world, and I would like to explain how our topics are designed. Now, as you noticed, I use the word topic, not unit. Now, first of all, our topics are going to be based upon CLEAL. Does anyone know what CLEAL means? It's a long 4-letter word. Long word. Content, language, integrated, learning. Okay, very, very good. So the things around this, we're going to make sure our students are also going to see in their daily lives. We're also going to integrate different subjects, math, science, social sciences, history, and art, I believe. So it's all going to be mixed in, but it's all going to be part of the lives around them too. And like I mentioned earlier, we have one topic for 2 units. So that means topic 5 is going to have unit 9 and unit 10 inside. So as a personal note, be careful if you say to your students, okay everyone, homework is topic 5 or unit 5, because they can mean slightly different things. Please be aware of that. But the reason why we do 2 units for one topic is because we want to make sure they're learning 2 sets of skills and then combining them together. And we're going to do this together as a simple walkthrough today. Now, if we look at Unit 9 and Unit 10, Unit 9's main focus is listen for times. We're going to see, can our students be aware of certain times happening around the day? Unit 10 is now going to focus on sequencing. Can they realize what comes first, second, next, before, after, and so on and so on? And we're going to combine everything for our application. And this is going to be our speaking portion. And our speaking activity is going to be making an appointment. Appointments both use times and they also deal with sequencing too. So let's see what we can do. Now, I believe everyone is used to what we call the topic opener. I think every book has this, not just OUP books, but every publisher has an open topic kind of introduction. And we always ask the same questions. Okay, everyone, open to page 64. What do you see? It's very, very basic because even though that this is a listening textbook, we still want to make sure we're incorporating the visual part and speaking part and the writing part to it too. You'll also notice that we have some kind of unit opener or topic opener also, and they provide two different questions for us. Now, we're going to listen to the unit opener, but I want you to really hear how OUP's style is slightly different than other listening textbooks. These are going to be the two questions we're focusing on. Question number 1 says, what does the world clock show? Okay. Number 2, how do you check the time in places around the world? So please think about these two questions. We're going to listen to the passage and see if we can answer it together.
Page 63, Topic 5, Fun Fact. B. Listen to the fun fact, then answer the questions. What's the time?
This is the world clock. It's a big clock. The clock shows the time in 148 cities around the world.
Good. It's very, very short. It's very short and it's very direct. But so let's go back and see if we can answer these questions. Number 1, what does the world clock show? Time. Okay, very good. Every clock shows time. How many countries? 148. Now, the second question, how do you check the time in places around the world? Does it answer this question? Not directly. It makes the students think about how clock is being used in my situation, my life, my surroundings. I know the world clock shows time in across 148 different countries in the world. That is my hypothesis testing questions. Now, I'm going to take this information and expand it. How do you check the time in places around the world? How do you guys check time in your daily lives? Cell phone. Very good. Usually cell phone, wall clock, watch pieces. Okay? Long time ago, it was your pee-pee. Okay? But once again, this is going to make sure we are taking clock, time, and we're expanding different areas on how to apply this type of concept. So it's not just activating prior information, and it's not just showing listening comprehension. We're getting that inference type of questioning that proficient listeners should be focusing on also. So let's go to our unit flow. And like we said earlier, this is going to be topic 5, 1 day around the world. And unit 9 is going to focus on listen for times. And it's a very, very simple explicit instruction skill set. We're going to introduce, apply, reinforce, and assess. And we're going to do this together in a very simple and easy way together. Now, the very first part of any listening book is going to be vocabulary. Korea loves vocabulary. And the vocabulary is very simple. We've always heard the same method. We play the tape, bring, listen to the words, repeat. It's the exact same thing over and over and over again. Now, what I like about the OSW or Oxford Skills World version is that it's not listen and repeat. The instructions are saying, get ready to listen. Everyone, please repeat after me. Get ready.
Get ready.
When you hear get ready, what does that mean in Korean? 준비하다. Ready? Does that mean when you think of get ready, is that the final goal? No. You're preparing yourself for something in the future. Now, in our listening vocabulary, like I said earlier, many of the vocabulary sections just say, repeat or listen to the vocabulary. And in the minds already, students think that this is the end goal for the lesson. It's just vocabulary. But when we hear, get ready to listen, we know that all of these words are preparing us for something bigger in the future. So please keep that in mind. And we talked about those groups of words, not just single words, but we have those chunks. So we want to make sure they're getting used to hearing chunks of words being placed together, not just single vocabulary words. So when we hear the vocabulary, it's very, very simple. I don't have to hear it. I don't have to play it. I can just read it for you. Everyone, please repeat after me. Get dressed.
Get dressed.
Morning.
Morning.
Walk to school. Wash my face. And of course, the teacher is going to explain what these phrases mean. But after we learn the vocabulary, we're going to make sure that we apply it. Now, once again, this is going to be that 3 buzzwords. I put it in our worksheets. This is just an example of what you can do and what you can make. We're not going to do it right now. This is just an example of what you can do with your own words itself. So if we take a look at, let's look at get dressed. If we look at this picture and we know the word get dressed, what are some buzzwords that we can connect to get dressed? Very good. Uniform. She's wearing a uniform. What else do you see in the picture? Mom and girl or daughter. Okay. When do you normally get dressed? In the morning. Okay. For school, for work, for sports. And we can have all of these buzzwords put in with our vocabulary. They're activating prior knowledge. They're increasing vocabulary usage with it too. Now, what's going to happen is we know our vocabulary words, so we're still getting ready for some bigger idea, but we want to make sure we apply the words to it too. So, in our next portion of our textbook, they're going to give you not just the words, but they're going to give you an extra skill we're asking our students to do with the word usage. So let's see what words they're actually going to be asking us and what skill they're asking us to apply with the words being used.
Page 64. B. Listen and color. The sun in the morning is orange. The girl in the green shirt washes her face. The girl gets dressed in blue pants. The girl walks to school in her red shoes.
So with this application activity, we are already using the words from our vocabulary lists, but we're asking them to do an extra skill set to it. We're asking them to listen and then also what? Color. So they have to listen to what the sound is, and then they have to make sure they're coloring the correct application of it. So the first one was already done for us. They said the sun is orange. Now, how about the second picture? A green shirt. They said the girl in the green shirt is washing her face. How about the third picture? Blue pants. The girl in the blue pants gets dressed in the morning. And our fourth picture? Red shoes. So what they're doing is we are applying the words and then we're having to do one extra skill for practice and recycling. So it's not just memorization, it's understand and then apply. So once we get through our vocabulary, this is where we're actually going to be focusing on our listening. Remember, Unit 9's focus was listening 4 times. We know our chunk phrases, we've practiced some application, so we're going to listen to our sentences to see if we can now use all of this information and then focus on time itself.
Page 65. Listen. A. Listen. Then complete the sentences. 1.
Christy has 3 classes today. First, she has math at 9 a.m.
2,
Paul gets up at 6 a.m. He eats breakfast. Then he brushes his teeth.
3,
First, Max does his homework. Then he eats dinner at 5 p.m.
So now that we've listened to our phrases, can we answer what time these kids are doing their activities? Christy has math at 9 a.m. Paul gets up at 6 a.m. Okay? How about Max? Max eats dinner at 5 p.m. It's really, really early, okay? But we are focusing on the times. Now, because this is satisfying our main goal, you can stop here and go on to the next activity. But I'm a very mean teacher. I want to make sure I give them more and more to practice with. So I will listen to it again and have them listen for signal words this time. And we use signal words in our practices. It said, Christy has 3 classes today. First, she has math at 9 a.m. With Paul, he gets up, and the signal word that was used was also then. And with Max, he was 2 signal words, first and then. So I have them listen to the same passage over again, but once again, I'm having them focus on different skills as we build up. And oh, wow, surprisingly, Unit 10 talks about sequencing. So it's all connected already together. So we're trying to give them a small advertisement or practice or warm-up before our next unit actually approaches. It's very, very simple. And is there any extra preparation for this? No, you just push play one more time. It's very, very simple for teachers to use in the classroom. So we're going to put it all together now. We've only heard one sentence at a time, but this time we're going to do one whole listening passage. We're still going to focus on times, but we're going to make sure, does their comprehension understand the passage clearly and for a longer conversation than just one sentence at a time.
Page 65. B. Listen to the video call. It's early. What is it about? Choose the correct picture. It's early.
Yen is in England. Lee is in Hong Kong. They're cousins. Lee video calls Yen.
Good morning, Yen. It's early, Lee. It's 3 p.m. I have English class at 3:30. Well, it's 7 in the morning in England. Oh, sorry. What time do you get up? I get up at 6:30 a.m. I wash my face at 6:45, and I get dressed at 7:30. When do you walk to school? At 8 a.m. Now you can talk to me before school.
What a great cousin. So once again, we're building all of our skills together, and we can answer our passage in a longer, more depth way. Instead of jumping from vocabulary to dialogue and then passage reading, we have this step-by-step building system for them to get more comfortable, to practice and recycle the words and phrases together. And we can answer these very, very easily. Teacher, this is simple, very simple. So once again, we're trying to make sure we go to our main topic again, and it's going to be asking, what do times tell you? And we can all know that times tell us something that happens throughout our daily lives. Very simple and very complete. Now, once again, we're talking about skills, but we also want to reinforce these skills. And I know Korea loves comprehension. And of course, we have comprehension already built into our textbook too. This is from all of our discussions we did together. And this is going to be vocabulary comprehension for you to use in the classroom. Also, many schools in Korea, they go, teacher or June, I want to make sure that we have not just listening and reading skills. I want to work on conversation and partner work. This is also included. Our listen to early sections are going to ask to work with a partner. It's going to focus on group work too, and it's designed for both recycling of vocabulary and personal input of their own experiences in their daily lives or with any other unit topic. So now at the very end of our books, there is this portion called My Listening Goals. It's very, very small. It's at the very bottom of the last page. And a lot of teachers don't really know how to use this. It says 2 marks. I can listen to the video call. I can listen for times to know when things happen. And students just kind of check. Now, before you do that, they should be asking themselves, do I understand the words and content? Am I able to ask questions to get more details? If they are, then yes, check. Or, can I recognize times, phrases, and signals? And most importantly, can I demonstrate these skills in class or with my teacher? These are the questions they should be asking before they can actually check mark these sections. A lot of students go, wow, this is my most fun part of the class because it's so easy. Just check. It's not like that. We want to make sure that we're going to make sure that they have this comprehension before they go on to the next unit or the next topic itself. So you can see how we take all 4 parts together, but we're actually going to be putting them into one section itself. Now, we're going to do this in your classroom again with Unit 10. You're going to do all 4 pieces together, build it up, and connect it. Now, for today's workshop, we don't have time to do all of Unit 10, but I do want to show you one extra feature that's important skill for students to use in the classroom. And it does come from Unit 10, and this is going to be coming from one of our sequencing. Now, remember, this is going to be after we do a vocabulary, our application, and practice. This is going to be one of our sequencing listening portions, and I would like for you to listen carefully to the passage itself and think about, are signal words always being used for every event? Now, once again, for this portion itself, the listening section should be built in.
Page
Yes.
69. Listen. A. Listen. What happens first? Choose the correct answer. 1.
It's morning. Tim drinks water. Then he eats breakfast.
2.
Todd has a busy day. First, he goes to the market. Next, he does his homework.
3.
In the afternoon, Sue watches TV. Then she talks with her friends on the computer.
Now, when we listen to all 3 examples, we know that sequencing uses first, next, then, and finally. It tells us the order of actions that are happening through that situation. Now, in our 3 examples, did they always use first, then, next, finally? No. Did we still understand how the order was made? Yes, because it's also making sure that we are not only integrating our 4 skills, but we're also going to be adding the crucial part of critical thinking. Can our students take this information and go one step beyond? So in our sequencing portion, we do have first, next, then, finally, and this is going to be focusing on the main skill itself for Unit 10, sequencing. But in the same passage, we're going to also get the critical thinking portions. You're still going to have first, then, next, then, finally, but they're not going to give you the information as clearly or as easily. So we're going to listen to the passage, and we're first going to see, can we match in our standard listening skill goal? And then, are we able to fill out the sequencing even though they don't always give us the signal words?
Page 71. D. Listen to A Great Day again. What does Pam do on most Friday afternoons? Complete the diagram. A great day.
It's Friday afternoon. On most Fridays, Pam eats lunch first. Next, she has class. Then, she has a soccer game. Finally, she walks home.
Perfect. So we have our first, next, then, finally. First, she eats lunch. Next, she has class. Then she has a soccer game. And finally, she walks home. So this is the skill set that we've hit the target. Great job. But once again, if we want to push our students a little bit more and get that creative, critical thinking activated, we're going to continue listening through the passage itself.
This Friday is different. Pam is on a school trip at the zoo. She learns about the animals. It's a fun day at the zoo. Pam goes home in the evening and tells her mum about the zoo. They eat and watch TV. Then she goes to sleep. What a great day.
As you can see, we still have that sequencing. They use the word then only one time, but we're asking our students, can you figure out the sequence of events without always using these signal words as a marker? And hopefully they can. First, she goes to the zoo to learn about animals. And then she goes home in the evening. With her mother, what does she do? She eats and watches TV. And then finally, she goes to sleep. So once again, this critical thinking doesn't have to be an essay. It doesn't have to be a speech. It can still be using for listening skills. And as you can see, it's all built up very, very easily. If they're not ready for this part, then that's okay. Focus on the main skills for that unit itself. If you want to challenge them and they are ready, continue playing the passage and have them work on this either by themselves or even with a partner. It's all there for you to integrate the critical thinking portions of the textbook. Now, hopefully you can see that it's going to combine both Unit 9 and Unit 10, but we want to make sure that we also have the checkup with it too, the comprehension checks, and all of our topics have our 2 units comprehension built up together, and they're connecting it side by side. And once again, it's going to be the combined 2-unit comprehension. But once again, we're not here to do comprehension. We want to make sure that we integrate them both together, and our application is going to be through speaking. So when we get through our textbook, you're going to see in our workbook 2 different pages that are going to prepare our students with a speaking activity combining both portions. And like we said earlier, we are going to be focusing on making an appointment. It's very, very simple. So as we listen to our appointment, we can read this together as a class or listen to the audio. The students should be able to fill out all the main details in the book itself. So let's go ahead and read our doctor's appointment. And could you please be Liz? Thank you for volunteering. And I will be Eric. Okay, good. Can you please read Liz? Such a happy worker. Okay, this is Eric Gilbert. I want to see the doctor. I feel sick. Can I make an appointment today?
There are 2 times of today, 10 a.m. or 4:30 p.m.
I can come at 4:30 p.m.
Great. See you at 4:30 p.m., Eric.
Thanks. Bye. So it's very, very simple. We know that the person is at the doctor's appointment office. We know the day, we know the time, and the reason. So this is what we can do together as a class before they actually do the partner work or individual assignment. So what we're going to do is, if you go to your final page, we are going to do a small dialogue with the partner next to you, and we are going to do a celebration. That's going to be our event. Now you can pick any celebration you want with your partner. You can do a birthday, maybe an anniversary, maybe a friend is getting married or a new job. Whatever celebration you want to do, you can choose. And we have 2 partner roles. The first partner, or the first speaker, is going to be the person calling in to make the reservation. And the second person is going to be the restaurant host or hostess. So you're going to pick up the phone call. And as you can see, I've given you a fill-in-the-blank kind of dialogue that we can work together. Now, this is part of the textbook. I just made it a little bit longer for our workshop because you are not second graders. Okay, so once again, I made it a little bit more difficult, but it's already built into our student book. It says, this is speaker 2, the restaurant host. So you can say, this is June's Delicious Restaurant. How may I help you? Yes, this is Sally. I would like to make a reservation for my daughter's birthday party. I don't know. Okay, so you can actually pick any celebration you want. Or, oh my gosh, I'm getting married. I would like to have an engagement party or whatever you want. Now, I did this same activity in Indonesia, and there are some very, very unique celebrations. One celebration was the friend got a credit card. So they celebrate by going out and spending money on the credit card. So you can pick any celebration you want. Just go ahead and fill in the blanks, and hopefully you can see how the dialogue is going to lead your answers. Great. First, I will need to know blank. Next, can you tell me blank? Sure, the date is, so I know that the date should go up here somewhere, and the people should go up the very top to it too. So I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes. Please work with partners next to you. No one's scary here. No one's going to bite. So please make sure, go ahead and fill in our dialogue together and try to think about our sequencing and our time lessons that we worked on today. Please go ahead and start. So as you can see, this is going to be integrating all the skills that we learned. It's going to give our students more opportunity to speak and actually have discussions in the classroom. And like I said earlier, it takes no extra prep. It's already built into the student book itself. Now, the third and final part I want to make sure I cover is that for us to have successful students in our listening classes, teaching methods are also important, but we want to make sure that proper application is supported with the proper tools. So I do want to go over what the components and what Oxford Skills World Listening with Speaking is available for our teachers. You can see that all of our series is going to be a 6-level series. The student book and the workbook are in the same bundle. They're book and book. So the workbook is going to be in the back of the student book. And we also have our website, like I mentioned earlier, available to you when? January. Okay, so once again, it's all going to be up there with our audio and our self-study resources. Now, if you do decide to use our teacher's pack is amazing. It has so many different resources that you can actually use that are available for you. From our teacher's guides to graphic organizers, to audio scripts and MP3s, to projects, speaking tutor worksheets, and professional development videos that's going to be available if you decide to use the teacher's pack. Now, hopefully everyone here is an Oxford Teachers Club member, because if you go on and you sign in and join our Teachers Club, you'll also be able to get all of this information downloadable and available for you online at elt.oup.com/teachersclub. When? January. Okay, it'll be all uploaded during January's official launch time. So all of this information is actually in your packet already. I've given you all the websites you can actually contact to. Now, the most important part I do want to show you is that I believe Molly wants to make sure that even though we did walk through all 3 points, we still have one final part to go over, and she wants us to wait because there's more. And what the more part is that this is actually part of a companion series. Oxford Skills World's Listening with Speaking is connected perfectly with our Oxford and Skill World reading and writing sections to it too. The layout is very similar. The unit structure and the topic design are very, very similar. They both provide very clear and explicit teaching instructions, and the target skills level match perfectly. So that means at any time for any teacher, you're going to have a complete 4 skills program ready for you to use. Oh, but June, I don't use Oxford Skills World. I use a different book. Korea has not 1 book, we have 7 books. And then this Oxford Skills book. Okay, please raise your hand if you've heard of Let's Go, or Everybody Up, or Starlight, or Oxford Discover. Now, the best part of working with Oxford University Press is that our design team and content team is connected with years in advance preparation. There are other publishers that only have one team design one book. And then they leave their job or they go somewhere else, and all that content kind of flies away, and the books don't actually match up. So the best part of the OUP is that if you do use Let's Go, Everybody Up, English Time, Starlight, Bright Ideas, Incredible English, Family and Friends, Oxford Discover, Shine On, or Explorers, the OSW or the Oxford Skills World series is going to match up with those textbooks effortlessly. It's going to have a very clean integration. But June, we don't use any of these books either. No problem. If you heard of Cambridge or any CEFR rating system, it's going to be connected with it too. The best part about the CEFR is that it's designed for a common European framework. June, I don't live in Europe. Yeah, but Oxford does. So everything is connected with the CEFR leveling system, and it's going to be very simple for you to pick one companion title or to use it by itself in your classrooms.